All right, guys. So now we're going to get into talking about why we think the market is kind of where it is right now. So overall, I'm going to let Wes speak for himself. But my opinion, I got Game Eye, guys. You guys should go download Game Eye. It's an app that tracks the price of your games. I look at it
Mhm.
every day. Over the past, I would say 6 months, maybe a year, I just seen the value of my collection continue to go down. Definitely in the past 6 months.
Mhm.
And that was my first indication that we're on a decline. And if you look at these numbers, yeah, there's some raised prices and stuff like that. If you guys look at rare games, sealed games, complete in box games, those are typically going up or holding their value if they're rare and complete in box or rare and sealed, stuff like that. But the general, like more common games overall are losing value. And there's probably a few different reasons for that. Do you agree with that statement, Wes, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely agree that prices are starting to come down because on the comic side of things, comics that were really expensive a year or two ago are starting to come down as well. So it's not just the video game prices, the retro game prices that are starting to dip. It's, I think, the collector market itself is starting to see a decline. Like I said, comic books, retro games, what have you. Because when you see stuff like Pokemon and Mario start to dip, you know, uh, I don't know. It's.
So
I
you
think
what
the
you're
bubble
saying
burst.
is the pool of collectors is starting to
Yes,
shrink. So
yes.
that would indicate that to me that people are starting to get rid of some of the stuff they have, whether it be comic books, video games, whatever they're
Mhm.
collecting. Some people, not all people,
Not everybody.
some people are starting to give up what they had.
Agreed. Yes.
Okay, I agree with that 100%. That's got to be what's happening. Now, if that's the case, if that is what's truly happening, why is it happening?
Mm. Well, I think part of the reason is we're in a post COVID world because
Certainly.
because of because the collector boom, I want to say, started just about COVID. Just before COVID, during COVID, because prices were unattainable on a lot of stuff. Comic books, retro games, they were crazy. People had extra money. They had disposable income. People who were unemployed were getting that extra kick from the government, so they had money to spend.
Yeah, I
That
went into
money's
a retro
gone.
game store like when they first like reopened, like after COVID happened and like they started letting people reopen. I went in there like a few weeks later, and there was nothing, man. Like I don't remember
Yeah,
the last time I walked into a retro game store and was like, "I'm good," and like left. Like I couldn't believe it.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy, and I think now we're at a point where with the rise in gas prices, people
Mm.
just don't have that money, that disposable income anymore.
Yeah, inflation is certainly affecting many. I'm sure
So
that's
yeah.
why some people are getting rid of their stuff for sure.
Oh yeah, I agree. What about you? What do you think?
I mean, I agree with all that. The inflation is going to start, taking people away. One thing that you guys probably heard me mention before is I love concerts. I love going to concerts. If you guys haven't checked the price of tickets, just look at the price of anything. It doesn't matter. Everything's gone up tremendously, right? But,
Food.
right
Food.
now, like, I'm an older person. So when I go to a show and like where I live, you got to drive like usually at least an hour, 2 hours away. I usually go to San Diego, which is like 2.5 hours from here. I don't go to San Diego, go to a concert, and drive back home. I get a hotel room. I stay the night. I go out. We have food. We have drinks. It's not a cheap day, not at all. But doing that now is even more expensive. So maybe somebody's like, "Man, I got to go to this concert. I'm gonna get rid of a couple of these games. It'll pay for my tickets, or it'll pay for the drinks when we go out, stuff like that." People are going to sporting events again.
Mhm.
All these things are compiling with the inflation, which is causing people to get rid of stuff, in my opinion. Because I think that people probably would have held on to their stuff at least a little bit longer than what we're seeing now. I think the inflation is really increasing how quickly people are getting rid of stuff, and The other thing is there was a bubble. It was clearly a
Hmm.
bubble that was being inflated by COVID partially, and if you look at sealed games by I've already told you guys my opinions on Wadit and Heritage. It's my personal opinion that they're colluding together and causing the rising prices of sealed games and that whole disaster, what's happening over there. But that's not what I care about. I care about complete and box copies of games for the most part, sometimes loose carts. And to see those go down overall, for my collection, it sucks because I'm like, oh, the value of my collection is going down. But I can probably afford to buy more games now. So that's what I'm. That's probably what's going to happen. If the prices go down, except for little Samson, uh, you know, I
Yeah.
might be able to pick up something again. I might look at that Saturn game that used to be $200 and now is $100 and be like, oh, now's the time.
Yeah, I see people, come in and they're trading games in at the store, and like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, customer traded in a bunch of stuff, like a whole bunch of DS games, and he's like, hey, with the price of gas, he's like, I really need the money. He's like, I hate to get rid of this stuff, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah,
So it's tough, man. I think everybody's feeling it. We all got to part with something that we don't want to just to pay a bill. I get it. I get it.
I don't
It's
leave my
tough.
house unless I absolutely have to. I go to work. I come home unless I need to go to like the grocery store or somewhere important. Amazon can deliver it to me. I'm like not leaving my house. So it's sort of just like extending COVID for me, other than going, I went to work throughout the whole pandemic, so nothing's really changed. But now I'm just staying home like all the time because it's so expensive to do anything.
It is. It is. It is. So I mean, everything we talked about, it's just, I mean, yeah, it's good that prices are dropping because, as you said, you can buy more, and I also think it's good because if the games continue to drop in price, maybe more people will get attracted to the retro game world and start collecting as well. It may attract some more collectors because now the prices are more obtainable on some of the stuff.
If they continue to go down, yes, I think even though we're seeing a pool of people exit, you'll see other people get into it because it is not as insane as it once was.
Correct. Correct. I guess it just boils down to being selective on what it is you are trying to obtain.
Certainly, that's definitely good advice for anybody collecting anything.
Mhm.
That's an excellent advice, Wes. That's all we're gonna have for you on this episode of the Nerdthusiast Gaming Podcast. All discussing retro gaming prices. We gave you guys some statistics. We showed you some charts over on price charting. We gave you our opinions on where we think the market is, but we're not experts. We're just two dudes who like video games telling you
That's
our
it.
opinion. So if you have an opinion that's different from ours, let us know. Drop a comment. Like and subscribe over on YouTube. Give us your thoughts and opinions as well. We'll have a discussion there with you guys. Follow us over on social media. It's at Nerdthusiast, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. We're on all those things. Additionally, your support on Patreon is crucial to helping us grow and maintain what we're doing. You guys can support us for as little as $1 a month, as a for as little as $1 a month, and you can get things like voting on poll topics, early ad-free access to a variety of our shows, including this one. Finally, I just want to say thank you to Wes. Wes, thanks for doing the show with me today. Where can people find you?
You could find me on Instagram at Grendel5XBX. And as I mentioned earlier, if you're down at the Jersey Shore area, you can reach me at Level Up Entertainment in the Hamilton Mall and Mays Landing.
Awesome. I'm Matt. You guys can follow me at from NJ to CA. The 2 is a number 2. Until next time, you guys take care.
Have a good one.